Good evening and welcome, Nevada Camera Club members and guests, to the Nevada Camera Club Electronic Image Competition for March 2024. Before we get started this evening, I'd like to share a couple of reminders with you. First of all, please remember that we will have take-in of entries for our 2024 annual open print competition, and that will be before our April program meeting on April 12th. The entry information can be found on the NCC website or in the March issue of Focal Expressions. It is appreciated. You can fill out your entry information sheet that needs to be turned in and the labels that need to go on the back of your entries. There's a PDF document available online that you can fill out and print it up, which makes things a whole lot easier for those of us who need to handle all the prints to be able to read. So we'd appreciate it if you use that one. If you have any questions, feel free to contact Ed Stiglitz, who is our special competitions chair, or any of the officers. I know we can be happy to answer your questions. Those of you who wish to have officers speaking, those of you who wish to have things included in the April newsletter, please remember to submit it to Doreen no later than this Tuesday evening. You can send them to publisher@nevadacc.org. Also, if you haven't paid your 2024 dues for Nevada Camera Club, please do so. The membership lists will be updated at the end of the month, and we will transfer to inactive those people who are not current. Jerome, I know you've made arrangements for our program for April 12th. Do you want to give us a little bit of a preview as to what you know about our speaker for that evening?
His name is Vanelli. He's from Skylum. I believe it's kind of a software, a little bit like maybe like Topaz. It does have its own foundation. And he's going to talk about some portraiture and some portrait lighting and posing and working with people.
Okay, thank you very much. Um, So we'll get on with competition if there are no other announcements that we need to be including. And I want to organize my people so that they're in the order that I have them on my list. Chair number one this evening will be Ed Stiglitz. Chair number two will be Jerome Hamilton. Chair number three will be Janice Phillips. Chair number four will be Harry Gooman. And in chair number five, we will have Ron Frost. As far as setup assistance this evening, we got setup assistance from Stephen Cupp, from Linda Hicks, from Mary Sheets, and from Ed Stiglitz. Our projectionist this evening is Stephen Cupp, and we have Julie Chadburn as our scorekeeper, and our merits recording is being done by Juliana Stratton. We had 36 members enter 101 images. This is the largest number of images we've had in a long time, in 40 unique categories. Two of those entering tonight's competition are new members. So thank you for putting your entries in. Welcome to Nevada Camera Club. Those of us who have live microphones, please turn off your cell phones so we don't get background. Harry, you can turn off the baby and I'll turn off my dog. And hopefully we won't have additional comments from those while we are in competition this evening. So now here's your Nevada Camera Club Electronic Image Competition for March 2024. I'd like to start with judges 2, 3, and 5. We're starting with Advanced Color Abstract, Snake.
Linda, am I 3 or 4?
You are
Okay.
4, Harry.
Oh,
Scores 898. Comment?
I think it has a lot of interest. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ron.
Very nice image. I like the coloration, I understand the titling. I like the multiple different colors that were used in it. It's a very good image.
The image received a 25. Same judges, same category. Fall leaves. Scores 787.
I like the concept. I think the concept of the leaves with different colors, but the lack of anything that's focusable really bothers my eye brain system. So,
The image received a 22. Judges, you have 2 images to review for placement, starting with fall leaves and going back 1 to snake. Judges, a 1 or 2, please, for snake. Scores 111. The judges have chosen snake. Same judges, please, as we move on to beginner, color, animal, and pets. Muscovy duck portrait. Scores 788.
I know this is a beginners group, and we try and be, a little bit easier with our scores, and I end up being the low one, so I wanted to talk. I do like the presentation of just the face, and the eye is nice and crisp and good focus right through the face, even into the feathers a little bit. I do like how the feathers kind of soften off down to the bottom. Where I have a problem is just more or less the composition, where he's just kind of bullseyed, not looking left or right, but just kind of in the middle of the whole screen. And then having those back duck feathers kind of going into his face kind of throws you off from your main point of view. If you could have just waited for him to turn a little bit, or you turned a little bit, I think it would have helped it a lot.
The image received a 23 and was the only image in the category. Same judges again for beginner monochrome animal and pets. Mr. Darcy. Scores 889.
I think the animal's very sharp. The eyes are sharp. I like his position. The only thing I don't like are the sheets with the stripes and patterns on them. If they were just a plain sheet, so it doesn't distract from the animal.
The image received a 25. It was the only image in the category. If we can have judges 2, 3, and 4, please. We're at intermediate color animal and pets, just humming along. Scores 988.
I can say I think the composition is excellent, uh, and the bird is actually sharp, and but somehow the rest of the scene is actually quite bright, and the bird doesn't really stand out as much. I mean, maybe the photographer could have darkened a little bit of the sky or something else so the bird could pop. Great picture though.
The image received a 25. It was the only image in the category. Same judges, please, for advanced monochrome animal and pets. California brown pelicans. Scores 787.
I scored it the highest bit. You know, I like the fact that you got three and they're situated differently. The frame that you used around them is a little distracting because my eye keeps wanting to go up to the white and see what's there. Would rather have seen the birds a little bit larger with a little bit more detail.
The image received a 22. It was the only image in the category. Same judges, please, for master color animals and pests. Lilac-breasted roller. Scores 899.
I had a feeling I was going to be the low one on this. I guess it's kind of hard to distinct between animals, pets. Are animals pets are supposed to be something contained in a zoo or not? You know, I was high on intermediate with the hummingbird just because I thought that was a good picture, but I believe this is a good picture equally as well. I think I scored down just a little bit because it doesn't feel like it's in the right category for the competition. The bird is lovely. It's an awesome image. Uh, Great focus throughout the bird. Nice diffusion with the background, and he's moving into the scene. So I think this is a very good job.
Image received a 26 and was the only image in the category. Judges 1, 4, and 5, please. We're moving to advanced color creative. Sienna. Scores 888.
I like the use of creativity on this image. Um, the expression on the face, I think the creativity aspect of it goes with that expression. And it's an interesting image. You got a lot of different creative techniques going on all at the same time, and yet the eyes still hold you in place when you're looking at it.
The image received a 24. Spring violet. Scores? Harry, move yours back towards you a little bit. That's at 788.
Well, I was low score, so I'll talk. I like the technique. It just seems to me that the leaves, that this technique worked better on the leaves than it did on the flower. On the flower, it's not doesn't seem as poppy as the leaf on the left or the leaf to the right of the flower look. And it's supposed to be the main subject matter.
The image received a 23. When sandstone turns blue.
We are in advance, correct?
Correct. Scores? 777.
And this
I would say, okay, go ahead.
I would just say that this technique didn't quite work with the halo around the mountain. Whatever the technique is, whether it was done with color infrared camera or a filter or whatever, it just didn't quite work with this image.
The image received a 21. Judges, you have 3 images to review for placement, starting with when sandstone turns blue, going back 1 to spring violet, and going back 1 to sienna. Judges, a 1, 2, or 3, please, for sienna. Scores? One, two, one. Spring violet. 2, 1, 2. And when sandstone turns blue. 3, 3, 3. So the judges have chosen sienna for first place. Judges 2, 3, and 5, please. Master Color Creative, Ghost Car. Scores? 8, 9, 8.
I was the high scorer. I think this image has a lot of interest. I like the fact that the gas pump has the yellow in it, in the windows, the yellow, and the lights yellow, and just kind of all brings that together. I don't mind the car in the back having a little glow to it. Just has a lot of interest.
The image received a 25 and was the only image in the category. Judges 2, 3, and 4, please, for advanced color documentary, Feeding Time at the Pond. Scores? 8, 8, 9.
I think being able to capture this is probably a good feat in itself. I think it's a little bit overexposed. I think it would have been nice if we had a little bit more dark in the background with those leaves, and the fish looks like he might have some hot spots as well as the water. I think that's really the only thing that brought it down just a little bit. Good composition where the duck's swimming. Duck, I think he's a duck. He's a type of duck or a brand of duck. Great capture on the fish. I like the water spots flying up. I think this is done really well.
Image received a 25 and was the only image in the category. Same judges, please, for advanced monochrome documentary, Rock Hopper Hopping. Scores? 888.
9.
I think Janice is a
9.
9.
Sorry.
I gave it a high score only because it's documentary, and for a documentary, I think it really captured the environment that the animal is in. I love the fact that he's got action and he's hopping. I mean, blends in with the rocks, but that's normal, because, he's blending in to hide away from enemies. So as a documentary, I think it was a good job.
Image received a 25 and was the only image in the category. Same judges, please, for beginner color nature wildlife, Great Horned Owl at Floyd Lamb Park.
Is this advanced?
Yes, no, this is beginner.
Yeah.
Scores. 899.
It's a great image in general, but for a beginner, this is actually quite outstanding. I mean, the bird is in focus and very well done.
The image received a 26 and was the only image in the category. Same judges, please, for intermediate color nature wildlife, Licking His Chops.
Intermediate, right?
It's judges 2, 3, and 4 for intermediate color nature
Intermediate,
wildlife.
Okay.
Scores. 797.
I give it the high score. I enjoy this image. I like the fact that he's got a lot of color in him, and the trees, are just kind of a black and white. I mean, you could have cropped out that left-hand corner so you didn't have that plant in the upper left, but I think you got a great capture.
One of the sevens want to speak?
I agree with the face is actually pretty good in focus, but the out of focus tree in the front is actually taking a lot away from the photo.
The image received a 23 and was the only image in the category. Judges 1, 4, and 5, please. We are in advanced color nature wildlife, Tranquil. Scores? 779.
And the
I'm
nine.
in the sevens, at least from my perspective, it is actually underexposed. The bird is underexposed, and there's parts of it that I cannot see well. And I had to force myself to actually locate the eyes.
Image received at 23. Mother and daughter. Scores? 998.
Yeah, this and I like the composition with the animals slightly off to the left, with their eyes looking to where there's space for them to be looking. The only very slight thing that I would have done is dead center in the top, that one white piece of broken branch, I would have darkened down. But short of that, the image is truly very nice.
Image received at 26. Minding my own business. Scores? 888.
It's a very nice shot of the wood duck. I'd have liked to see the reflection a little bit clearer. And the green water, although that's what the water was, kind of detracts from it a little bit. The duck looks good.
The image received at 24. Hornworm. Scores? 898.
I the image, the worm itself seems to be processed pretty heavily. The end without the horn seems to be not quite as sharp as the end with the horn. Um, Other than that, the image is really nice. It just seems to be a bit over processed.
Image received at 25. The vortex. Scores? 887.
This looks to be a really nice image. I mean, everything about it is nice. The snowy mountains in the background. You got good detail in the rocks. You got nice composition. You got the vortex there. It's just missing that little pop to push it into a 9. Somebody with a red shirt climbing down into the water or something like that. Time of day, maybe. It's just, it needs something a little bit more to pop it into a 9, I think.
Image received at 23. Burrowing owl. Scores? 889.
I think the expression is fantastic on the owl. Good capture on the body. We've got the legs. Those eyes are just fabulous.
Image received a 25. Fluffy gray heron. Scores? 787.
Yeah, the face just seems to be a little bit washed out. Interesting bird though.
The image received a 22. Now you see me, now you don't. Scores? 989.
Amazing image. I feel really sorry for the mother bear. I mean, that little guy is just, I'm here, I'm here. Great image.
The image received a 26. Judges, you have 4 images to review for placement, starting with now you see me, now you don't, going back 2 to burrowing owl, going back 2 to hornworm, going back 2 to mother and daughter. Would you like to see those images again?
Yes.
Okay. Mother and daughter, hornworm, burrowing owl, and now you see me, now you don't. Ready? Okay, judges, a 1, 2, 3, or 4 for now you see me, now you don't. Scores? 1, 2, 1. For burrowing owl, scores? 4, 4, 4. For hornworm, scores 3, 3, 3. And for mother and daughter, scores 2, 1, 2. So the judges have chosen now you see me, now you don't, followed by mother and daughter and hornworm. Judges 1, 3, and 4, please, for advanced monochrome nature wildlife. What are you doing? Scores? 8, 9, 8.
I like this image. It makes me laugh. It's got the craziest bird face I've ever seen. And, you know, it's got nice blacks and whites, and the face is nice and sharp, and just his look keeps my interest.
Image received a 25 and was the only image in the category. Judges 1, 2, and 3, please, for master color, nature, wildlife, duck. Scores? 988.
I love the water, and the water's almost a better picture than the duck. So I'm mesmerizing on the water and not paying attention to the main subject, where generally the subject should pop out of that background a little bit more. I do understand there's, the different colors might be what somebody else is looking at, and I understand that. This has good focus uh, throughout. I love all the texture and the feathers, good catch lights in the eyes, nice reflection. Um, it looks like he has a zipper, which was kind of interesting. He's got something in his mouth, but overall, I think it's a very nice image.
Image received a 25. Yosemite Horsetail Falls. Scores? 889.
I know once again, this is a really, really incredibly hard image to get, but overall, it's a great image. It deserves a blue ribbon by far. Um, is it the most outstanding and a perfect image? It just didn't get there, but it's really close.
Image received a 25. Mother with baby. Scores? 889.
I love this image. I mean, that circular effect that it has with the mothers, you know, leaning over the baby. I mean, it might be a little bit better if I had a little bit more space, you know, below and top it. This is an excellent image, and I think it's very hard to capture out in the wilds like this. And the feeling in I don't know, you just get this feeling, emotional feeling between them, which is special.
The image received a 25. Baby food. Scores? 988.
Yeah, I really like this scruffy guy. I was a little concerned that maybe that his head is slightly soft on the baby, but I don't really think it is. I just think that that's the way he looks at this point in time because the rest of him, all of his fur, everything is beautiful. It just gives you a very interesting look, and you did a nice job with depth of field blurring out the background.
Image received a 25. Peaceful coexistence. Scores? 878.
I think the contrast is just bumped up way too much on this overall image. Great things going on here. I love having a little bit of water in the front. I love having a little bit of sky in the back. Um, really, way too much going on for to give it maybe a good score. I'm confused between. I know it's coexistence, but I'm trying to look at some of the rocks in the snow and some of the birds over here, and then the seals or sea lions in the front. So it's like just a little bit too much going on, especially in a master category, and the contrast is really what brought it down for me.
Image received a 23. Judges, you have 4 images to review for placement. Going back 1 to baby food. Going back 1 to mother with baby. Going back 1 to Yosemite Horsetail Falls. And going back 1 to duck. Would you like to see them again? Okay, we'll start with duck. Then Yosemite Horsetail Falls. Mother with baby. And baby food. Ready? Okie doke. Judges, a 1, 2, 3, or 4 for baby food, please. Scores? 1, 2, 3. Mother with baby. Scores? 2, 1, 1. Yosemite Horsetail Falls. Scores? 4, 4, 2. And duck. Scores? 3, 3, 4. The judges have chosen mother with baby for first. In second, they have baby food, but there's a tie for third between duck and Yosemite Horsetail Falls. So since we've got duck up here, judges, a 1 or a 2, please, for duck. Scores? 1, 2, 2. So the judges have chosen Yosemite Horsetail Falls. Excuse me. Judges 3, 4, and 5, please. We're in, excuse me, intermediate color. Where there is smoke, there are firemen. Scores 989.
I think that's a great image. I just love that image. I could see it hanging in the fire stations and, I like the smoke, dark sky behind them. I think it works really well.
The image received a 26. It was the only image in the category, and there's a great story that goes along with the capture of that image that you'll have to find out sometime. Moving on to intermediate monochrome people, daddy and daughter. I'm sorry, same judges.
Is the category again?
This is intermediate monochrome people. Scores 788.
I mean, I'm
I'm
the
one
low.
of the 8.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the mood of the image as if like they're at a bus station or something, and explains somewhat of the story of what might be going on. I could see myself that way.
The image received a 23. It was the only image in the category. Judges 2, 4, and 5, please. For advanced color people, content. Scores 889.
I was the high scorer. I think the image is very good. I like the color. I was a little concerned about the eyes closed, but I think with the title, that worked out very well as content.
Image received a 25. Harvesting rice in Cambodia. Scores 788.
I think it's a very interesting scene, and from a people standpoint, I look through the several of the people that are in the front and in the focus, and you can clearly see the expression. I think that sort of made the image for me.
Image received a 23. Photo shoot. Scores 887.
I really like the use of threes here because you actually have three people in this image and it creates a nice triangle. Would like to see the horizon line maybe a little bit higher. But then again, having the red in there kind of gives you an action point and a starting point that gives a little impact. So I think this was handled pretty well.
Image received a 23. Judges, you have 3 images to review for placement, starting with photo shoot, going back 1 to harvesting rice in Cambodia, and going back 1 to content. Judges, a 1, 2, or 3, please, for content. Scores 3, 3, 2. Harvesting rice in Cambodia. Scores 2, 2, 1. And photo shoot. Scores 1, 1, 3. Judges, we have a tie between harvesting rice in Cambodia and photo shoot. So one more runoff, please, if you will, a 1 or 2 for photo shoot. Scores 1, 1, 2. So the judges have chosen photo shoot. Okay, judges 2, 3, and 5, please. For intermediate color photojournalism, Savissimo Diggs. Scores 9, 8, 9.
Great timing on the shot. You got the ball, you got the fist, you got the expression. Just an excellent catch. Even a little sand flying from the foot movement to get in there.
Image received a 26. Red flag, Black Baron. Scores 8, 8, 8.
I think this is a great image of this plane. I'm guessing you caught him on a turn, unless you had the ability to be right over the top of him and over the ocean. So, good catch. Nice focus. I like seeing the pilot's helmet in there, and he's kind of looking off to the side a little bit. But for photojournalism, I don't think this is a good story. I think this is a great documentary, and it probably should have scored a little bit higher in documentary. Just the story aspect of the title kind of telling the story instead of the image, I think brought it down just a little bit.
Image received a 24. Judges, you have 2 images to review for placement, starting with Red Flag, Black Baron, and going back 1 to Savissimo Diggs. Judges, a 1 or 2 for Savissimo Diggs. Scores 1, 1, 1. So the judges have chosen Savissimo Diggs. Judges 2, 4, and 5, please, for advanced color photojournalism, steeplechase. Scores 988.
I really like this. I think you took the time to put yourself in a good spot where there's not a lot of distractions. I know there's some stuff in the background, but this actually looks like it's a school, and that's going to be hard to do. Um, but to be able to capture him here, there probably wasn't a lot more places for you to be. I like where he's placed in the scene. I love the splash of water. For a minute, I thought I'd like to see more of his face, but actually, you can see a lot of the anguish in his face and just the grueling pain as he's coming down. So I think this was handled really well.
Image received a 25 and was the only image in the category. Judges 1, 2, and 4, please. For Master Color Photojournalism, UNLV Run. Scores 898.
We have a great image here. We have a lot going on. I love the guy behind the runner. The expression on his face is priceless. The image just isn't quite real sharp enough to make it into a 9 for me. It's got just a little bit of fuzz on it. It was probably taken at night when you had almost not enough light and you had to use a real high ISO, and that's just what it is. But it's just the image standing on its own just isn't quite just needs a little bit more pop.
Image received a 25. Nice save. Score 988.
I really this image is really interesting. It took me a moment to find the puck. It's in his caught. He caught it. It is a great save. It tells a great story. I just see a whole story here. The guy's got this really weird stick angle trying to trick this guy into missing and didn't work.
Image received a 25. Judges, you have 2 images to review for placement, starting with nice save and going back to UNLV Run. Judges, a 1 or a 2, please, for UNLV Run. Scores 211, and the judges have chosen UNLV Run. Judges 2, 4, and 5, please, for beginner color pictorial, A Long Way to the Exit. Scores 889.
I think this is a great image. This is a great catch. I love that daunting imperial view of just going and going and going and going. I love that. I think this would have scored higher in maybe like a documentary. This is a great documentary again. For pictorial, I don't think it's a pretty picture. It's a great picture, though.
Image received a 25. It was the only image in the category. Judges 2, 4, and 5, please, for intermediate color pictorial, a convenient host.
Can you repeat the title?
A convenient host. Scores 877.
Again, I think maybe not the best category pictorial, pretty picture. I don't think this is a pretty picture, but there's a lot of interest here. I like having the snail in there because the snail gives me something to go to. Otherwise, I would have been moving around just through the patterns. But good patterns, good texture. Snail adds a little interest. I think it's a good image for intermediate.
Image received a 22. Life is harsh on limestone. Scores 878.
So I think there's some texture in the a nice texture in the rocks and leading lines. With the three itself, the subject, I didn't think there was enough impact.
Image received a 23. Red bouquet.
I'm sorry, Linda, just category one more time.
This is intermediate color pictorial.
Pictorial.
Scores 777.
Again, I'm picking on categories tonight, but I lost track when I saw it because I was thinking maybe we jumped to still life and I wasn't paying attention. What I mean by that is pictorial pretty picture. You know, I don't want to say what we're looking at, but there has to be more impact towards beauty and that feeling of emotion versus having something that whether it was placed here on purpose or whether you found it this way is more of a still life look at things. Picture's not bad. It needs a little bit of work to it, but I think this is a good start.
Image received a 21. Judges, you have 3 images to review for placement, starting with red bouquet, going back 1 to life is harsh on limestone, and going back 1 to a convenient host. Judges, a 1, 2, or 3 for convenient host. Scores 1, 2, 2. Life is harsh on limestone. Scores 2, 1, 1. And red bouquet 3, 3, 3. So the judges have chosen Life is Harsh on limestone. Judges 1, 2, and 4, please, for intermediate monochrome pictorial. Moon over Red Rock. Scores? Hold your up a little bit higher, Harry. Thank you. 7, 9, 8.
So I'm the 9. I thought this was really nice. I thought about scoring down for having too much high space, but I understand why you did it. So I didn't score you down for that. Truly, I think this would be a better image if you just lost the moon and just went with the mountain range and do a slim line, because that's really the best part of the image. Um, Other than that, it's a little bit hard time of day with the light, but for the black and white, it kind of works in here. It is a little bit of contrasty, but for the mountain range, it's okay.
The image received a
Hold-
24.
Wait a second. I marked it down to a 7 because I'm probably having problems with the striation lines in the sky. All that black sky in the upper left hand corner, and there's odd lines traveling through them that don't seem to belong there.
Image still received a 24 and was the only image in the category. Same judges, please, for advanced color pictorial. Little Finland Road. Scores? 7, 7, 7.
I think we do have a little bit of emotion here, like we're alone in the middle of nowhere, and it's a good picture. And with our scoring of 7 being a good picture and 8 being an above average picture, and 6 being a below average picture, I think this falls right into the good picture level. There's nothing spectacular, exciting going on here. I think it might have done better in documentary.
Image received a 21. Metamorphosis.
I'm sorry, Linda. Can you give me all the stats one more time, please?
This is advanced color pictorial. Metamorphosis. Scores? 8, 7, 7.
It might be better suited for something like documentary. A person admiring wall art and pondering her own situation. But I don't think it really is a good pictorial image.
Image received a 22. Desert lighting. Scores? 778.
And the eight, some seven will give their comment. I actually like the composition, and I thought it was intriguing with all the curved lines at the lower part of the picture.
Image received a 22. La Jolla.
What's the title again, please? Could you repeat
La
that?
Jolla. Scores? 778.
I think you have good angles leading in with the lines from the rocks leading in. The rock with the water kind of leads in and out at the same time. So maybe a little bit too much. Looks like you have a little bit of color in the sky, which is probably a good time of day, but there's just not too much sky there to make it that interesting. I really think all the pizzazz in this image is all this water coming over the rock. I think that looks fantastic. You did a nice slow shutter, the water coming over the rock, falling to the bottom, and even hitting the waves in the water in the bottom. I think if you can crop in and use that for your main part of the image, that's going to help you a lot.
The image received a 22. Judges, there are 3 images to review for placement, starting with La Jolla, going back 1 to Desert Lighting, and going back 1 to Metamorphosis. So judges, a 1, 2, or 3, please, for Metamorphosis. Scores? 3, 2, 3. Desert Lighting. Scores? 2, 3, 2. And La Jolla. 1, 1, 1. So the judges have chosen La Jolla. Okay, judges 2, 3, and 4, please. For advanced monochrome pictorial, In Love.
Pictorial, right?
Correct. Scores? 777.
I think there's 2 photographs here. The one on the right, which is terrible, and the one on the left, which is kind of cute. I think if you were to just crop in on the people, it would be a considerably nicer image.
Image received a 21 and was the only image in the category. Judges 2, 3, and 4, please. For master color pictorial, Butterfly. Scores? 999.
It's a beautiful image of the Northern Lights. I love the mountains. I love the lake. You know, a lot of circular effects, bringing you back to all the different areas of the image. It's a beautiful image.
Image received a 27. Boathouse. Scores? 8, 8, 8.
I really like your boathouse. I think it's beautiful. The lighting is really, really nice, and the reflection. I think you should have just focused on that, cropped it tight so that we only saw the boathouse, because this other little white boat on the side is keeping your eye going over toward it. So just crop it in, focus on the house, because it has beautiful lighting.
The image received a 24. Untitled. Scores? 8, 8, 7.
I think the location and the placement, composition, everything is great. The lens choice, everything from the barn to the mountains. I do like the haze on the mountains. It does look a little overexposed. Um, the sunlight on one side of the barn is actually amazing. So great to catch this time of day. It to me appears, and I could be wrong, it looks like you've done a little bit of like HDR effect to it. And I think that kind of takes away from the barn a little bit instead of helping it. But overall, nice image.
The image received 23. Judges, you have 3 images to review for placement, starting with Untitled, going back 1 to Boathouse, and going back 1 to Butterfly. Judges, a 1, 2, or 3, please, for Butterfly. Scores? 1, 1, 1. Boathouse. Scores? 2, 2, 2. And that leaves us with 3, 3, 3 for Untitled. So the judges have chosen Butterfly. Judges 2, 3, and 5, please, for Master Monochrome Pictorial, Vulcan Osorno. Scores? 8, 8, 9.
Really nice monochrome image. Your choice to put the mountain kind of center top to bottom and center left to right, I think it kind of works just because this mountain kind of has an angle to it, so it kind of feels like composition, even though it's just off kind of a bull bull point. Having a hard time talking tonight. But where I do have a problem is the lower clouds. I think they could have been a little bit darker. Even the water could have been a little bit darker. Maybe all the clouds overall, just a little bit darker, would draw you into that mountain a little bit more and not take you away from the brightness.
Image received a 25 was the only image in the category. Same judges for Advanced Color Portraiture. Jazzy. Scores? 887.
I'm gonna talk a minute because I was here at this event, so I don't know who took this one. I know there was a bunch of people there, but overall, I scored it a little bit high because there are portraits that are more of an industrial portrait that is a full person with kind of what's going on. This one probably should have scored it a little bit lower just because it's not so much of a portrait as it is a people category. Um, I think the smoke came out great. The lighting on the model is fine, but also this being done at an event also makes it kind of hard for me to judge it.
Image received a 23. It was the only image in the category. Judges 1, 3, and 5, please, for advanced monochrome portraiture. Anna. Scores? 889.
I marked it down a little bit because I didn't like the hand placement behind the head. And this is portraiture, so you're supposed to have control of that. It doesn't feel as natural as I would like it to feel. The smoke is wonderful. The look on the face, that's not really a debatable point. I just that the hand feels a little uncomfortable the way that she's posed in this picture.
The image received a 25. Was the only image in the category. For master monochrome portraiture, judges 1, 3, and 4, please. Morgan.
We're in master now.
This is master, yes. Scores? 988.
I think it's a very good image. I like the positioning, and it's very clear. But somehow, like the darkening of the background around the body, I'm not really sure what process was used. That is actually taking away, I believe, from the image. You can notice it a lot around the hair.
The image received a 25 and was the only image in the category. Same judges as we move into intermediate color still life. Exaggerated. Scores? 778.
This is a still life, and it's in a place where you have control to move around. I think taking a half a step to the right so that the red drape didn't merge with the shoulder might have helped this image quite a bit.
Image received a 22 and was the only image in the category. intermediate monochrome still life, 3 of a kind. Scores 877.
I think the flower towards the bottom right is actually very interesting and has the most interest. Uh, Maybe the one on the left, can't really see it as much. But the third, counting trees, but the other one, third one, is like not completely in the picture. So maybe if you had just focused on that one, that would make it a better image.
Image received a 22 and was the only image in the category. Judges 2, 3, and 5, please. We're in advanced color, still life, forks. Scores 977.
Well, what do I know? Um, I really liked the maker's idea behind this. It's kind of still life and kind of a creative all together. Um, I like the mixed focus throughout and this crazy. First, I thought it was a background, but it's actually something that's just kind of laid over, I think, over the forks because it's on the top of some and behind some of the other areas. So, uh, good composition from the angles. I like the layout. I like the idea. I think this is very intriguing.
Would one of the sevens like to address their thought process?
I really like the concept. I wanted to see all the forks sharp. The out of focus parts of the forks brought me way down. But your concept is great.
The image received a 23. Want a ride? Scores 778.
I like the image of the vehicle. The other stuff around it certainly detracted. It didn't quite detract enough to drop me down to a 7, but I like the image on the Dodge.
Image received a 22. Little Finland School of Fish. Scores 778.
This is a hard place to get to, and then even a harder place to photograph. I do want to give you kudos. It's hard to move around in there. It's hard to make things look like something intriguing. I think maybe if you got down lower and had more of the sky in there, these rock formations wouldn't blend so much into the background, even though there's focus and depth of field between the two. I think they kind of merge together too much. And then your lighting and time of day is not working for you right now.
Image received a 22. Pasque flower. Scores 899.
I think that's a beautiful image. I don't even mind that that petal in the front is soft because the yellow stamen are just so beautiful, and you got such sharpness, and the feathery look of the image is really nice.
The image received a 26. Judges, you have 4 images to review for placement, starting with Pasque flower and going back 1 to Little Finland, School of Fish, going back 1 to Wanna Ride, and going back 1 to Forks. Would you like to see them again, or are you okay?
I'm fine.
I'm okay.
All right, then let's go with it. Judges, a 1, 2, 3, or 4 for Forks. Scores 1, 2, 2. For Wanna Ride. Scores 4, 3, 3. For Little Finland. Scores 3, 4, 4.
Well, I'm on my own in this category.
And for Pasque flower, scores 2, 1, 1. So the judges have chosen Pasque flowers in first and Forks in second and Wanna Ride in third. Thank you. Okay, judges, 1, 2, and 3, please, for intermediate color unclassified Star of India. Scores 977.
Well, I obviously liked it better than anybody else. The only problem I had with the image was the very bottom bollard. I wish it would have been cropped up a little bit, but I decided it was intermediate, so I wasn't concerned about that. I love all the wires and strings and lights, and I find it very interesting image.
I'm one of the other ones. Agreed. I didn't like this front ballard. I think it kind of takes away because it's your first starting area and it's so far out of focus. It kind of took me away. I do like your point of view going up the chain. I've done that a couple times myself with the big chains. You really like how that looks. I don't know. Maybe you weren't able to get closer to that. I think everything's a little bit yellowed because of the lighting, but I think in this instance, it would have been a little more helpful if it was more of a white color to make this look more of a black and white instead of kind of a sepia tone, I think just didn't work with this image.
Image received a 23. Wraith aggressor during red flag 24-2.
Linda, can you give me all the stats again, please?
Wraith aggressor during red flag 24-2. And we're in intermediate color unclassified. Scores 899.
Again, I think any of these pictures like this would do great in documentary. Of course, being unclassified, it doesn't matter. The score kind of shows. I've been out there with a couple groups this past week. I don't think I got anything this good, so I think this is a good job. Nice focus throughout, having the clouds with a little bit of blue in the background makes it look like it's in the air. So I think that's great.
Image received a 26. Judges, you have 2 images to review for placement, starting with the Wraith aggressor and going back 1 to Star of India. Judges, a 1 or a 2, please, for Star of India. Scores 1, 2, 2. So the judges have chosen Wraith aggressor. Tongue's not working anymore. Okay, judges 1, 3, and 5, please, for advanced color unclassified On the Hunt. Scores 999.
This is a great image. I love the angle that you got it at. I love the fact that the propellers are showing motion. You got him sharp. It's just a very interesting perspective.
Image received a 27. Floral Cascade. Scores 788. Comment, please.
It's a beautiful image, beautiful flowers. It's just a beautiful image. It just doesn't have that impact that I'm looking for a higher score.
Image received a 23. Be careful. Scores 878.
We have a great rock for subject matter, and then we have the kids playing on it, which gives us even more interest. It's just a time of day and lack of stuff in the clouds in the sky or something in the sky or lights and shadows to help make it pop up to a higher score.
Image received a 23. Tunnel vision. Scores? 999.
I've tried this. I've done this. I understand what's going on here. What makes this one here stand out really nice is the evenness of the sparks, not only in the tunnel in the middle, but the sparks on the ground. That it looks like the lighting is even all the way back, and it so that the whole thing has a lot more depth and perception than this type of image tends to have.
Image received a 27. View from the pier. Scores? 777.
I think it's a hard image because my eyes are going to the boat on the left and then the boat on the right and then the background. It just, nothing's like pulling it all together for me.
Image received a 21. Festive Cabo. Scores? 878.
I like the placement of the sun. I like the whole skyline. I think what stopped it from being higher is that those flags are seriously worn out. Other than that, it's a very nice image.
Image received a 23. Bayan Budas. Scores? 988.
I'd like to have seen some more contrast. I'm not sure how you could have gotten the lighting to do that. But the images got to keep going and coming. You've got to pull them out because the contrast is lacking.
Image received a 25. Paraguas. Umbrellas. Scores? 887.
I think this is a really cool abstract. The umbrellas are the whole thing, and I marked it down a little bit because all the stuffs on the sides don't add to the image any. It's all the umbrellas.
The image received a 23. Judges, you have 3 images to review for placement. Going back 1 to Bayan Budas, going back 2 to Tunnel Vision, and going back 2 to On the Hunt. You need to see him again, or are you okay?
Good.
Okay. Judges, a 1, 2, or 3, please, for On the Hunt. Scores? 1, 2, 2. Tunnel Vision. Scores 2-1-1. And Bayan Budas scores 3-3-3. So the judges have chosen Tunnel Vision and then On the Hunt and Bayan Budas. Okay, we're to the club challenge now, which for this month is wood. We'll start with beginner and judges 1, 3, and 4, please. Whether wooden push-up board being used by desert spiny lizard. Scores 7-7-7.
This is a great image of the lizard. I mean, it's a beautiful image, but the category is wood. And so I'm not looking at the wood. I'm looking at the beautiful profile of that lizard. So that's why the score was low.
Image received a 21. Moving on to intermediate, judges 2, 3, and 4, please. Acoustic guitar. Scores 7-8-7.
I think this meets the category. Great looking guitar. I love your choice to kind of present it at a little bit of an angle that gives you leading lines in. I love the lines of the guitar anyway. It just doesn't have a lot of pop. So other than that, good choice.
Image received a 22. Don't fence me in. Scores 8-9-8.
I think this really meets the category. I like the fence poles, like looking through the fence poles to the other fence poles and even the wood trees in the back. I think you did a good job in this category.
The image received a 25. Flowers wood inlay. Scores 8-7-8.
I think, eight's a good generous score for this. I think it meets the category of the wood, being the inlay. It's got good textures. It's got a lot of design, and I think you could have done a little bit more with this. The color is off a little bit, so that's why it probably scored a little bit lower. So
Image received a 23. This way to the egress. Scores 8-8-7.
I think this meets the category. I mean, the whole image is all wood. For a minute, I almost went a little bit lower with that bright light coming through, but actually, that gives you a point to go, almost that walk into the light kind of view. So I think also just the point of view is great. Good idea here.
Image received a 23. Many eyes to see you with. Scores 997.
I really like this image. A lot of patterns, a lot of designs. I mean, I was debating whether to give it a 9. I might have cropped that dark line on the right, but I like this image. I'm glad you captured it.
Image received a 25. Judges, you have 4 images to review for placement, starting with many eyes to see you with, going back 1 to this way to the egress, going back 1 to flowers wood inlay, and going back 1 to don't fence me in. Would you like to see them again?
Yes.
Okay. Don't fence me in. Flowers wood inlay. This way to the egress. And many eyes to see you with. Judges, a 1, 2, 3, or 4, please, for many eyes to see you with. Scores 1, 1, 3. This way to the egress. Scores 3, 3, 4. Flowers wood inlay. Scores 4, 4, 2. And don't fence me in. Scores 2, 2, 1. Give me a minute, please.
I think that's a tie.
We got 2 ties. We got tie for first and second. We've got ties for third and fourth. So to break the tie for first and second first, which is between many eyes to see you with and don't fence me in, we're on don't fence me in. So do you want to see both of them together? Would that be helpful since we're re-examining all 4?
No, it's all right.
Okay. Since Stevens, move us to many eyes to see you with. A 1 or a 2, please, for many eyes to see you with. Scores 1, 1, 2. So we'll assume that don't fence me in is 2, 2, 1. Okay. And for the other 2 images, which we've got this way to the egress and flowers wood inlay. A 1 or a 2, please, for flower wood inlay. Scores, please. 2, 2, 1. So the judges have chosen this way to the egress for third. Okay, advanced challenge. I need judges 1, 3, and 4, please. Adrift in the dunes. I lied. I need judges 1, 4, and 5. Excuse me, my mistake. 1, 4, and 5. Okay, scores. 8, 8, 9.
Excellent image, great depth of field on the piece of wood. Yeah, the mountain behind may detract a little bit, but sitting there in the sand, the wood is certainly the highlight.
Image received a 25. Framed door to nowhere. Scores. 8, 8, 7.
I like that the address is 911. I really enjoy the fact that the light looks like it's on, and the time of day you got really nice lighting on the brass knobs. Interesting find. Well composed.
Image received a 23. Wood. Scores. 7, 7, 8.
I think it's a very interesting find for wood. What is not really helping, in my opinion, is that the background is too bright, and on the top left, there's a few other distractions. So your main subject is not as visible as it potentially could be.
Image received a 22. Air roots. Scores. 8, 8, 9.
It's really interesting. You have things. It's definitely wood. It fits the category real well. And if you look at the squirrels, you can find eyes and characters and all kinds of interesting things if you use your imagination a bit.
Image received a 25. Wooden letters. Scores. 9, 7, 7.
Okay, I'm the 9. I really, really like this image. I like the old-fashioned feel of it. The watermarks on some of the old squares on the backs of the squares, like they've been used hundreds of times and they're almost worn out. I just think has an incredible feel for wood, and it just tells a whole story in there.
The image received a 23. Wood to worship. Scores. 8, 7, 9.
I think it is wood meets the category. That when you look at certain parts of the image, there are a lot of highlights, especially in the head and the shoulder and some of the tree as well. And that's one of the things.
Image received a 24. Under the boardwalk. Scores 787.
It's an interesting image. The water and the light tend to catch my mind more than the presumably wooden poles. I don't know that I sense them as wood. They could be pretty much anything.
Image received a 22. Sun-dried. Scores 888.
Good contrast, good colors, lots of wood. Interesting image.
Image received a 24. Cracked time. Scores 888.
I think this actually image screams wood, and it just like tell the story.
The image received a 24. Driftwood. Scores 877.
It is wood, but I would have liked to have seen more of the wood and the character in the wood.
Image received a 22. Pieced together. Scores 777.
Meets the criteria in being wood, but the wood doesn't have impact in this one. I kind of like the opening up above in it and the line down, but the wood just doesn't quite capture it.
Image received a 21. Old wooden drill box. Scores 878.
I love the box. I love the paint dripping off of it. The age is obviously there. It just to get up another point, it would have needed a little bit more of a story.
Image received a 23. Driftwood makes a nice perch. Scores 878.
The wood is there and the bird is there. Some of the parts, main parts of the image, like the mountain, and the ego, they are like really overexposed. And some of the parts of the wood that if this is the main subject, the left part is locked in shadows.
Image received a 23. Wouldn't you like an egg? Scores? 878.
There's a lot of wood. The main subject, I'm not really sure if it's the wood, but the bottom right egg seems to be out of focus and a bit more brighter than everything else in that bowl and kind of distracting.
The image received a 23. Wooden fence. Scores? 988.
I gave this a 9. I like all the wood, but I gave this a 9 because I like the new wood in the background and the old wood in the foreground, and that the wood was used for a purpose, and yet there's still more of it in the background. And there's a lot of fence poles in this image. It's kind of busy, maybe, but I mean the category is wood, so it just pounds it into you.
The image received a 25. Driftwood. Scores? 788.
I'd say it is driftwood, so it meets the subject. I figured the image could have actually scored higher if your angle was maybe slightly different, because some parts of the wood are very highlighted, and I don't think that's actually helping the image.
The image received a 23. Judges, you should congratulate yourself because you just looked at 16 images and you chose 3 for placement. Not bad at all. First one of those, go back 1 to wooden fence. Go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to bare roots. And go back 3 to adrift in the dunes. Those are your 3 for placement. You want to see them again, or are you okay? Okay. All right, judges, a 1, 2, or 3, please, for adrift in the dunes. Scores? 3, 2, 2. Bare roots. Scores? 2, 3, 1. And wooden fence. Scores? 1, 1, 3. And the judges have chosen wooden fence. Okay, for Master Club Challenge, judges 1, 2, and 3, please. Weathered wood. Scores? 889.
I think it meets the category. This wooden barn, uh, good composition, good angle. I like the angle the bushes create along it as well. On the door side, the door, I can't tell if it's blurry or just the technique used, but it kind of took it down just a little bit for me. Otherwise, good job.
Image received a 25. Petrified. Scores? 788.
Well, it does meet the category. It's not what you expect, but it does meet the category. My problem is everything in the picture other than the petrified wood is just doesn't seem to fit with it.
The image received a 23. Villagers. Scores? 788.
I think it meets the category just because you got a lot of wood in there. I like the general idea behind this, and I like the people added to give it a different element. Um, is it super great? I don't think you quite got there, but overall, I think kind of a good picture.
The image received a 23. Intertwined wood. Scores? 888.
I'm going to steal Ed's comment from a couple minutes ago. I think this would have been a lot better if you didn't have the extra stuff and you just focused on the wood. With these red beams of wood through there, almost like a beam of light with this nice soft light, all that texture. I think this is a really good section of the image. Very nice.
Image received a 24. Keep out. Scores? 777.
Doesn't necessarily scream wood. There's a little wood in there. It screams concrete, steel.
Image received a 21. Woodchuck. Scores? 887.
I think this is a pretty far stretch for wood, but I think Ed and I gave you an extra point just because you made us laugh.
It's so cute.
And I had to resist saying how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Excuse me. Nature's bent wood. Scores 978.
I'll start and say I like the lighting. I like this subdued, nice, pastel look that everything has. I didn't think there was enough wood or wood texture. It's kind of more just a green kind of forest or jungly shot. But Ed, you might want to say something.
Yeah, I agree with you, but when you look at the picture, the wood just stands out, almost three-dimensional, and it gets into your face, the wood. I don't really notice all the rest of the stuff. I only see the wood and the muted background behind it, and it is really cool wood.
The image received a 24. Judges, you have 3 images to review for placement, starting with Nature's bent wood, going back 3 to intertwined wood, and going back 3 to weathered wood. Judges, a 1, 2, or 3 for weathered wood. Scores 1, 2, 1. Intertwined wood. Scores 3, 1, 3. And Nature's bent wood scores 2, 3, 2. So the judges have chosen weathered wood for first. We have a tie for second between intertwined wood and Nature's bent wood. So judges, a 1 or a 2, please, for intertwined wood. Scores 2, 2, 2. So the judges have chosen bent wood for second. Thank you, judges. Thank you, competition staff. The results of the competition will be included in the April issue of Focal Expressions, and the competition's video will also be available on YouTube should you want to re-listen to comments again. Remember that we have a good program coming up on April 12th at St. Andrew Lutheran Church, 8901 Del Webb Boulevard. 7 p.m. But prior to that will be intake for the annual open print competition, and we encourage all of you to enter that competition. So thank you all very much. Good evening. Have a great